I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I ask that you please remain standing for a moment of silence in recognition of the passing of Dr. Joe Trevisano's father. Thank you. Okay, welcome to the South River Board of Education regular meeting for Thursday, October 19th, 2023. In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Laws of 1975 of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the South River Board of Education was provided in the following manner. On October 6, 2023, the notice was delivered to the office of the South River Borough Clerk and posted at the Board of Education Administration Building. On October 6, 2023, the notice was faxed mailed to the following newspapers: Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger. On October 6th, the notice was posted at the South River Borough Clerk's office. Mr. Rosa, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Bazak.
Mr. Bazak has been excused.
Mr. Budson.
Here.
Mrs. Bush.
Here.
Mrs. Byrne.
Ms. Byrne has been excused.
Mrs. Lau.
Here.
Mr. Nielsen.
Here.
Mrs. Sadowski.
Here.
Ms. Young Yao.
Here.
Ms. Urbanik.
Here.
Let's see if I say this correctly. Emmanuel Vizera.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, first item on our agenda are the minutes for the past meetings. Mr. Rosa.
Nothing new from our pre-meeting.
Board members, is there a
Move the
motion on the minutes? Motion by Mr. Nielsen,
Second.
second by Mr. Budson. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have a couple of use of facilities added from the other night. Mr. Rosa?
Yes, we have number 1526, peer leaders. We also have number 1529, passion for youth. Number 1530, South River Parks and Recreational Department. And number 1531, Mashall's Food Service.
Thank you. Board members, your pleasure on the use of facilities.
Move the use of facilities in accordance with board policies.
Motion by Mr. Nielsen,
Second.
second by Ms. Sadowski. Any questions on the additions or even the existing ones? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Use of facilities are approved. Our financial report, Ms. Lell.
Thank you. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby certifies that it is in receipt of the financial report, which indicates that no major account has been overexpended and that sufficient funds are available to meet the district's financial obligations for the remainder of the fiscal year. The Finance Committee recommends that the reports of the Board Secretary and the Treasurer of School Monies for July 2023 be approved, and I so move.
We have a motion by Ms. Lell,
Second.
second by Mr. Nielsen. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to turn the meeting over to our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Zurcher.
Thank you, Mrs. Urbanik. I'd like to begin this evening with an update in our district's participation in the Central Jersey Consortium for Excellence and Equity, which is led by Monmouth University. Our high and middle school students attended their first student session. Already, we have some social media posts about the event on our Facebook page, but they participated in activities targeting areas for improving accessibility and equity for our students here in South River. So I encourage you to take a look at that. Our middle school outdoor classroom and our cafeteria ramp are completed. Our students have been using it for outdoor learning, for having lunch. We've received wonderful feedback on the use of this space and the fact that it was just very unappealing space before and just a waste before, and now it has turned into something that is really being used as a great instructional environment and just really enhancing the overall middle school program. Our elementary school outdoor classroom is also being used. We've been fortunate with some good days for those opportunities, and our kids are using these spaces for learning in just a different environment. It's been wonderful to see, and we also have some photos of that posted on our social media page. I'd like to update the board and the public on our 21st Century program. We are up to about 275 students in grades 3 to 12 enrolled in our after-school program, which provides homework assistance, academic remediation, extracurricular clubs, and some enrichment opportunities. At the elementary level, I just took note of some of the activities currently being offered, and the menu of opportunities is expanding week to week. But right now at the elementary school, we have academic remediation, we have game club, we have yoga, we have flamenco dancing. At the middle school, we have also academic enrichment, basketball, Future Business Leaders of America Club, mock trial, drones, and a math league. And then at the high school right now, we have academic enrichment. We have a new AV club that's new to the high school this year, STEAM tank, web design, computer repair, critical thinking, and career exploration. So these are just some of our few offerings. That's just a start to the program. Like I said, we are expanding on a weekly basis. And the latest news about this program is that we have partnered with Right at School. There's an agenda item for you to approve this evening for that contract. And in doing so, what we're able to do is combine their supervision along with our programs, which are grant funded, and really be able to provide childcare for our families in grades 3 to 8 at no cost to parents. So we're excited about that. We will be sending out information to parents. We were waiting to board approve that contract this evening, and then we will be sending that notice to parents moving forward. So if you live in South River, you have an opportunity to send your child to our free full-day pre-K if they're age appropriate for that, but now also for aftercare services, which is a really great offering that we're able to provide. This evening, the board has as well one confirmed HIB to go ahead and approve. And then we also have two presentations. I'm going to begin with our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Personnel, Dr. Joe Trevisano. He's going to be doing a data analysis review, and he will be followed by Mr. Matthew Crouch. He is our district anti-bullying coordinator, and he will be doing his presentation on the assessment for determining grades under the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Trevisano at this time. Thank you.
You're in the line of fire, Chris. Certainly.
Savvy as I thought it was.
That's right. I'll just listen to you.
If you'll indulge me for just a second, before I start with this, I want to express my thanks to the board. As you know, it's been a very challenging month of September, and your support, Dr. Zurcher's support, Mr. Rosa's support, and the support of our community has really been touching to me. So before I start, I wanted to make sure I thank you for that. It's really a pleasure to work with people that care so much about people. So it really actually warms my heart every time I come to work, and I really enjoy it. It's funny when I was sharing a quick story with Mr. Bannock. When my truck is not parked outside, people start questioning why I'm not here. It's actually kind of funny. The next day I come in and it's like, hey, where were you yesterday? It's really amazing. But anyway, testing results. Normally we have one testing presentation. However, the state requires us to give the testing presentation within 60 days of the release of the results. I believe in August I did the GPA results, and now this is our student learning assessment data. So, I'm going to turn this thing on. There it goes. Just a refresher on student learning, New Jersey student learning assessments. There are 3 of them that we give to our students. One is in mathematics, one is in English, and then one is in science. Really, the definitions and what it incorporates is included on this slide. Just for your edification and the public's edification, this presentation is currently listed on my curriculum website. So if you miss anything or want any specific details, it's already posted online. But it really helps us to determine benchmarks and areas for improvement, as well as areas that we can celebrate for student achievement. So what I decided to do was start off a little bit differently this year, and I broke it out by language arts first, and I'll go through some data and statistics for you. The 3 schools are listed. We have data for our students that are not necessarily meeting the expectations, are approaching expectations. So those are the ones that get near the benchmark scores, as well as those who are meeting and exceeding the benchmark scores. I have this listed by number of students and percent of total for this. While these numbers look like they can improve, I have some interesting information at the end of the presentation, which actually shows progress, which is very good. We have a breakdown of language arts for each of the grades. The total tested, we tested 1,171 students last year. I have it broken down by district and state comparison for all 5 different levels. The New Jersey Student Learning Assessment in English and mathematics has 5 levels, where the science only has 4 levels. We'll get to that one in just a second. And of course, there's a qualifier on the bottom. Percentages may not add up to 100% due to rounding. So if you actually add across, you might get 102%. I'm a good mathematician. I know it's not 102%, I promise you. But you may get 99%, 101, 102. But there is a fluctuation there due to rounding. But these are the achievement levels across each of the grades. Following the grade level, we break it down by different demographic groups. The first one is done by race. So we have it as grade bands for grade 3, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and grade 9. I don't want to necessarily take the time to read through all the slides. Just a note, and this will be on all the slides, any population that's less than 10 students is denoted by the less than 10. We cannot identify the number of students in that cohort because they become identifiable. In some cases, you'll see some dashes because that's the data that we have, but we do not put numbers down that are less than 10. So that's why you'll see all over my presentations a less than 10 symbol. This will, the demographics for race breaks down by Asian, Black, Hispanic, multiple, white, and then the total students per grade. The next one is by program. Programs would include those who are free and reduced lunch. Those who have a 504 plan are English language learners, special education, general education, again, all students. The same denotation is up there for students of a group that's less than 10. So you can identify them again. This is available completely on the website for you. I encourage you to take a look at that and review the data. If you have questions, by all means, please reach out to me. The final demographic is by gender, male, female, all students. And again, you have less than 10. So if you have 9 students in a cohort, we don't necessarily put that out there. 10 or more is reported by percentages and numbers. And that's how each of these will be broken down, program race and gender. Our math scores are reported here, the same thing. We'll notice out we have the elementary or middle and then the high school. The high school is going to be reported a little bit differently. You'll note in the English language arts SLA, it was only grade 9 because the grade 9 assessment is done for English. In mathematics, it's done by course. It's actually done by course and program. So in the high school, all grade 9 students are assessed in mathematics. However, they're subject to take different courses. So we will have some students that are reported in geometry because as freshmen they took geometry. So those will be itemized a little bit differently. Again, we have it broken out by the not meeting, partial meeting, those who are just approaching expectations, and then those who are meeting and exceeding by school. We can examine this by, again, achievement levels. Now, a few notes on the bottom of this, and you'll notice on the left-hand side we have 3 through 8. Algebra 1, geometry. We did break those out solely because the high school does have those two numbers. The other point that I want to make is with the Algebra 1, the Algebra 1 exam are 8th graders and 9th graders. So our numbers are put together for the students who took Algebra 1 in the middle school as well as in the high school. Geometry is only offered at the high school, and that's why we have that delineated that way. This number here, I think in the language arts, we had 1,171 students. We have 1,215 students because we do incorporate the 8th graders and some 9th graders in geometry as well. So the number's going to be a little bit bigger. Percentages, again, may not add up to 100% due to rounding. And yes, it's a mathematics slide. It's kind of funny. Anyway, we broke it up by race again. Same exact demographic groups that I identified in the language arts. Again, we can notice that we have the 5 different levels. Percent of tested. Again, those percent of tested may or may not add up to 100 solely because of rounding. But again, this is available for you anytime on my website. We have it done by program again, free reduced, 504s, our English language learners, special education, general education, and all of our students. It is interesting, of course, to note there's always a misnomer about mathematics, and I have to bring this up as being a former math teacher. I have to say this, especially for some of our language learners. You know, it's always said that math is nothing but numbers, and I challenge somebody on that one to say, okay, math is nothing but numbers. Read a word problem. So some of our language learners have to not only contend with learning the English language and the mathematics at the same time in those courses. So it is a little bit challenging. We're working towards improving on that. We have it again broken down. The last slide here is by gender in mathematics, so your achievement levels are identified here. And then finally, we move on to science. Now, science has only 4 levels. You have your minimal level, your limited, and proficient and advanced. In theory, a level 3 or a level 4 is passing, if you would. A level 1 and a level 2 are not necessarily there yet. We only assess science in grades 5, 8, and 11, and therefore last year we tested 525 students in science. We have our comparisons district to state in proficient and advanced. Again, I do a demographic breakdown, but because there was less students tested, there's a lot more dashes. It's not that I just decided not to write numbers in there, there's just less students tested. We work on program, we take a look at the program again. As you really think about the science program, it's a little bit more challenging. You have technical language. We know that some of that comes into our reading and our literacy skills. There are some graphs. There is quite a bit that's incorporated into the science exam, which again affects different programs. And then finally, our achievement results by gender. Again, it's available on the website. Our access for ELLs. So, access for ELLs is our test that we give to our ELLs to evaluate their level of English comprehension, broken into a number of different clusters. I've identified kindergarten, its own cluster, grade 1, and then we go into grade bands. They're assessed in 4 domains, and the percentages work left to right. So the oral language is a combination of listening and speaking. Our literacy is a combination of reading and writing. Comprehension is listening and reading, and then overall is overall. Kind of makes sense, right? The composite scores are calculated in that manner. So here's our district data from last year. Our level 1s through level 6. Obviously, level 6 is your reaching. We look at level 4s and 5s as our students that are going to be exiting ESL. Information in the table tells us about the students attaining each of the level in the category. Now, a student that just comes to the country 2 months before the access test will take the access test. So we've experienced a number of newcomers to the country moving into South River. They're going to be entering, and in some cases, some students are missing years and years of school. Some students, this is the first opportunity in school, so now we have to assess them, which is one of the reasons why many of our numbers of level 1s and level 2s are higher than normal, or that we would expect. Historical data, I decided to put this up there. Again, during 1920, access testing did not take place. I don't think I have to remind anybody as to why. But one piece of this data that I would like to bring your attention to is the total number of students that were tested. 5 years ago, 2018-19, we tested 241 students, almost double that record, and that was last year. You'll notice the percentages that are there. If we can take a look at 2018-19, our level 1 entering, we're talking 44 students, 18%. Last year, 141 students, 31%. It is our emerging demographic within this town, and that's what we are working with. As a matter of fact, we ended up having a meeting about that today, which is another story. But that's your historical data. The last piece of data that I want to talk about is our dynamic learning maps. These are the way we assess some of our more cognitively disabled students. They are not subject to SLA requirements, nor are they subject to the SLA testing. Instead, it's a little bit different where we look at different categories for these students. These are really students that we would be able to provide accommodations, and really as many accommodations as possible, but yet due to their disability, there's no way they can be successful. So we have a very small percentage of students that take the DLM as their assessment, and this is the results we have here at this point. Again, because we test science in grades 5, 8, and 11, the DLM does take into account science results in grades 5, 8, and 11. But here's the results, percentage at target or advanced. But again, you're looking at a very small number. So in grade 3, there was 2 students. Grade 4, there was 5 students. They're represented on here multiple times because of the test they take. But again, those are results of the DLM. So of course, one of the areas of pride we have in the district here is the work that really Dr. Zurcher has really been working with the high school and all of the administrators and kids on is a graduation rate. And you'll notice our graduation rate has once again increased. Last year we were 92.5%, 214 graduates, which is an amazing number. So we're very, very proud of that number. We want to give you the historical representation of where we were, and we do not have this the last year's state average high school graduation rate yet, because the state is still considering appeals. Once those appeals are done, I'll be able to have that number for you and be able to edit this slide. Okay. Finally, annual comparison data. Interesting slide. I want to bring your attention to this. Color coding it was a little bit easier, greens and reds. We like greens. You know, greens are up, reds are down. The more red we see on the left, and the more green we see on the right, is a good thing. So as we look at some of our numbers, and this is our comparison year to year, it's not necessarily a state comparison. What we'll notice, especially, let's take a look at math for argument's sake. In the elementary school and in the high school, we actually decreased the number of students that received a 1 or a 2, and we increased the number of students receiving a 4 or a 5. While those numbers are still low, it is a trend. It becomes an increasing trend. In science, again, we decreased the number of students who were 1 and 2s, and we increased the percentage of students that were 3s and 4s. So we're trying to trend in the right direction. The teachers are really doing as best job as they possibly can. The district is providing all the resources that we need, and we consistently evolve to try to work with the students. So our main takeaways that we have here, we've seen improvement in language arts, but there's still room to grow. Based on the area, based on the results, we identified various needs for students. In fact, I'm not gonna hide it. We know that our performance in math is still significantly below expectations. High school students using a brand new math series, right? We purchased a brand new math series, new resources, the teachers are engaging with it, and actually the kids are engaging with it. We just purchased a brand new science series, and thank you, by the way, for that, for K-12. As a matter of fact, on an anecdotal note, I was in the classroom just the other day, and the kids were doing an experiment where they were putting in certain 30 milliliters, 60 milliliters, 90 milliliters, 120 milliliters of water into a plant, putting it back in, recording observations, both anecdotal as well as mathematical, to make conclusions down the road. It was such a such a small time frame that the kids were so excited about actually doing something where they could make observations and then predict. And they would predict, what are you going to see tomorrow? What are you going to see this day? What do you think is going to happen next week? The kids were out of their minds. It was great. It was the greatest third grade class I've seen. Listen. Moving forward towards improvement. A couple areas I want to highlight on this one. I'll use mine. Even though I didn't bring my glasses, I have some highlighters. The district focus this year is on literacy and literacy development. As mentioned before, math is math, science is science, but you can't be literate in those two subjects without being literate in general, right? So we're providing K staff, professional development, coaching sessions this year, really addressing student progress and best practices in literacy. We continue to administer benchmark assessments, and in this case, we're actually taking those benchmark assessments. We're going to be meeting in data teams with teacher leaders to really disaggregate the data and figure out where we can improve, where we see students progressing well, and where we can find areas to help. And the other thing, the district has really invested in training some of our teaching staff in Wilson Language. Wilson Language is a developmental reading program that we now have teachers pulling students to really help them with reading using this program. It's a very specialized program, and I think we have 3 teachers now pulling, correct? 3 teachers pulling kids to pulling classes to really do that. We continue to provide professional development, personal and professional areas, and we really try to help cultivate staff. As a matter of fact, we had a large meeting today where we were listening to concerns for staff, and we're going to address those concerns. We do that on a regular basis, so that way we can continue to evolve and do the best we can for our kids. At the end of the day, it's all about the kids. Any questions? Thank you.
Board have any questions? No, thank you. I'd just like to make one comment, if I may. So I read this a couple times, read through it, and when I was first reading it, I was a little concerned with the numbers, and then when I got to the end, I was very excited to see the results and where we're going. And I thought to myself, over the years that I've been here, seen a lot of improvement, and I've come to the conclusion that a lot of good things are happening here, because somewhere between when you have the numbers for the lower grades and then the high school, and then you have the conclusions, and we are above state averages for graduation rates and many other things. And at the end of the year, we have some of our board members report on all the colleges and all the endeavors that the students are embarking on. There's a lot of learning going on here and a lot of good teaching, and I want to say thank you to the whole staff and the administrators, because this surely proves it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Trevisana. Next, we have Mr. Matthew Crouch, and he's going to be doing a presentation for our school self-assessment for determining grades under the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights.
Good evening, and thank you for having me in front of you, to the board and Dr. Zwicher. We're going to go over what we've been doing with the HIB Act right now, and I wanted to start looking at some numbers and explain what it is. I think that you're all familiar with this because I've stood before you before, but I figured I'd do a quick recap. We're required every year to evaluate ourselves using a self-assessment tool. Each one of the counseling teams and the climate teams talk about what we're looking at, and then we come up with our numbers. I believe in listening to my staff, and so I did see a number to go down, but that's because they want to improve and they felt that their numbers weren't exactly what they wanted, but we still meet standards. So what is a HIB program? What is the HIB assessment? It's an 8-step elements of the steps. So you have HIT programs and approaches, which is one. You have training on the Board of Education. You have staff instruction training, curriculum and instruction related to skills and information, HIT personnel, school level HIT incidents reporting procedure, HIT investigation procedure, and HIT reporting. It's done on a scale of 1 to 4, so 4 being the absolute best, 1, you go negative. So what I'm looking at this year is that all 4 of our schools met or exceeded with our standard, with our grade being a 78 for this year. This is last year's numbers, and when you come forward, you'll start to see that the numbers stay the same except for in core element 1, and core element 2, and in core element 3. And that's what I was speaking about before. In the 2 buildings where we did see the dip in one number, it was because the staff members said to me, we can do better, and I want to do better. So when we look at that, how we show improvement is by measuring honestly and accurately, and then moving forward. I don't want this to sound like it's a negative report because it's not. As I said, we have met and exceeded, or exceeded in all of them. Things I want to highlight that are good about it, that we did really well. We met or exceeded in all 8 areas of reporting. We have incredibly accurate investigating and reporting procedures. We really, and we just handed in this, we haven't turned away. We always investigate. We always make sure that there's something there, that it's not just a fly-by-night thing. We have effective programs that are being offered to students, and we have lots of the opportunity to look back and see what we're doing, what works, and how we can change that to make it even better. As far as the recommendations that we're making this year is we're going to make sure that our GCN training, which is due in a very couple of days, will be consistent with all the district procedures. We are also going to increase our data collection and data analysis in multiple different ways that are going to be very interesting, involving our client teams, and then coordinating with district-wide programs. So if you look at it overall, the high school 21-22 was 78. It's currently at 77. The middle school and the elementary school stayed the same, and the PS went down 1. But like I said, we're still definitely meeting the standards, and I hope that moving forward with some new ideas that we have and working on, we will be able to move those numbers forward or at least maintain the diversities. Does anyone have any questions?
Doesn't seem to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Okay, and as I mentioned before, the board does have a confirmed HIB to review and approve tonight. And so concludes my superintendent's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zurcher. The board, what is your pleasure on the superintendent's report?
Move the superintendent's report is read.
We have a motion by Mr. Nielsen.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lowe. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to open up the meeting to the public, and this is so the public may address agenda items only. There will be a public portion at the latter part of this meeting for the public to address other items that may be of concern to the Board of Education. If you do come up to the podium, please state your name and address, and please keep your comments to a 10-minute limit. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on agenda items on first call, on second call, and on third call? Seeing no one, we will close this public portion. We are going to move on to our consent resolution. Mr. Rosa.
The South River Board of Education, by means of a consent resolution, adopt various resolutions of a routine and non-controversial nature at one time. And whereas the below listed resolutions are hereby adopted by the said Board of Education in whole, as if the same were individually acted upon. And those are the Superintendents of Schools Report 3.2 to 3.6. Under Finance 8.1 through 8.18. Under Instruction 9.1 through 9.5. Under Human Resources 12.1 to 12.19. Under Safety and Risk Management 13.1 to 13.6. And that is all.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the consent resolution?
Nielsen.
Motion by Mr. Nielsen. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Sadowski. Are there any questions? Does anybody need to abstain on anything or wish to have anything read separately? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Butson,
Yes.
Mrs. Bush,
Yes.
Mrs. Lau,
Yes.
Mr. Nielsen,
Yes.
Mrs. Sadowski,
Yes.
Ms. Young Yao,
Yes.
Mrs. Urbanic.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Our committee reports. First committee report, Mr. Budson, Athletics and Extracurricular.
Well, there's nothing on the agenda. Just want to congratulate the band for doing so well in their competition. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
I do know our boys soccer team lost today 2-0 to South Brunswick in the semifinals of the county. So, but again, they made it all the way to semifinals. A tall, small school like ours, and then they go up against a big school like South Brunswick. They held their own. My boys went. They said it was a good match. So, got a good program, and I think we'll see a brighter future for some of our guys. That's all I have.
Good news. Would you like to report on buildings and grounds, Mr. Nielsen?
Just like Dr. Zurcher said, our outdoor classroom is up and running. The kids are enjoying it. When I drop my boys off or pick them up, I see them out there, students utilizing that space, and they're seeing having a good time. And again, with the new equipment we put, the playground equipment, they're enjoying that. So the improvements that have been made, and Mr. Blaj and his crew are on top of everything. Football season has come to an end in our home games, so now they'll have to work indoors with soccer and, with wrestling. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you. Finance, Ms. Lowe?
Thank you. There are 3 new items that I'd like to read in. 816, addition approved contract Pioneer General Contracting Company, Inc., snow removal services for the 23-24 school year. 817, addition approved contract Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey workshop service provider for the 23-24 school year. And 818, addition approved contract Right at School LLC, 21st Century Community Learning Centers program service provider for the 23-24 school year. And that's the one that Dr. Zurcher mentioned in her report about collaborating with the 21st Century Grant.
Please.
And that is all I have.
Thank you. Instruction, Ms. Bush?
Yes, I have nothing new to add to today since Monday, but I would like to take a moment to thank Dr. Trevisano for his presentation and all the work that he obviously has to put in to make that presentation. It's one of the things he highlighted in his monthly report. In his free time from analyzing data, he also focused on a lot of professional development that took place in October, highlighting a couple new initiatives of the district. So grade 3-5 was the literacy initiative with guided reading, and K-2 with the new science materials that he already had mentioned or alluded to earlier. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention as well. But thank you again, Dr. Trevisano, and that is all.
Thank you. There are no items under negotiation. Policy and legislation, Ms. Bush?
There's nothing there as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Human Resources, Mr. Nielsen?
We have 3 additional ones this evening and 1 correction. 12.6 has added 2 volunteer coaches, and now we will go to 12.17, addition approved staff transfer 2023-2024 school year. 12.18, addition approved facility rider, high school leave replacement art teacher 2023-2024 school year. And 12.19, addition rescind resignation Anne Marie Carrick, elementary school teacher 2023-2024 school year. And that's all I have for tonight, Madam President.
Thank you. Safety and Risk Management, Ms. Sadowski.
Thank you. There are no additional items since Monday night's meeting, but information pertaining to the bus drills that were conducted at all the schools was added to item 13.1. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. School Community Relations Committee, Ms. Young Yao.
Thank you. I have the middle school students of the month for September, so I'll be reading that right now. So grade 6 ELA, Anna Maria Antovo. Math, Noah Henriquez. Science, Addison Leedy. Social Studies, Ishmael Rosa. ESL, Christopher Moracho. PE, Madeline Reyes. Cycle, Peyton Borges. For grade 7, ELA, Ivana Lizardo. Math, Carla Fuentes. Science, Sebastian Rios. Social Studies, Leah Obadeki. ESL, Perla Morocco. PE, Gianna Castellano. Cycle, Aiden Oviedo. In grade 8, ELA, Brigham Green. Math, Amy Herrera. Science, Melanie Amaro. Social Studies, Bruce Robinson. ESL, Victoria Pereira Costa. PE, Damian Jara. And Cycle, Nazareth Maldonado Zavalva. And I have the teacher that rocks this month is Miss Navarro. So congratulations to everyone. And that's all.
Thank you. Mr. Nielsen, anything from the School Board Borough Council liaison?
Nothing to report tonight, Madam President.
Thank you. Ms. Sadowski, PTA.
Okay, so at the primary school, they did have Penny Wars. That was concluded, I guess, last week, the week before. It got very heated. It was a very heated.
Penny Wars.
Yep. So they also hosted Hispanic Heritage Night. That was last Friday, and it was a huge success. It was attended by a lot of families within the district. Elementary school is currently conducting their own Penny Wars. They're also hosting a Halloween dance next Friday, October 27th. As you will notice, there are a lot of use of facilities for all the upcoming events, including Fun Day and all the end-of-year events. So there's a lot of planning occurring for all the events this school year. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. South River Public Library liaison is Mr. Budzen.
On Saturday with the Recreation Department, they're having a trunk and treat. That's at 3 p.m. at the library. On Monday, they're having a spooky fairy garden for adults. Their annual, semi-annual book sale is November 6th to the 9th, Monday through Thursday. And for the continuing of the centennial celebration, on November 14th at 6:30, they're having a presentation on the history of the state parks. That's all I have.
Thank you. And now to our Student Board Representative, Emmanuel Becerra.
Is this on? Okay. Yeah. Just before we start, I would like to say that I managed to be a representative for the Student Council, so now I'll be able to bring more information on the students' plans. So I'll just highlight some stuff from our previous meeting, which is we have 2 Halloween events, one for the only high school, the Halloween costume contest, but we also have the Halloween walkthrough. We have our Purse Bingo on November 17th, which I'm pretty sure it's open for the public. We're going to have our Thanksgiving food drive. We don't have a date for that yet, but I'm pretty sure on the next one we might have a date for that. And our blood drive is also scheduled for December 7th. Next thing that I would have to say is, since I'm not very involved in the sports area on our school, I went after some students to see if they had something to report, something important, right? Most of them, of course, said how the soccer teams are going great right now. So again, he already mentioned it, but that's very good that they're doing well right now. But a bunch of them also mentioned how the fields are not very even. Like they have some, they're just holes, I think. And that might cause some injuries on them. Good thing that that's not gonna, that's not bringing them down, right? They're still doing great. But I know that this matter will be addressed correctly. But that's all I have today.
Thank you very much for bringing all that information to us.
Emmanuel, that's a great way for us to remind the public that we do have an upcoming referendum on November 7th. We are looking to redo our Denny Stadium bleachers, as well as a turf field that would be used by our soccer team And we are concerned about the condition that they're playing in. We're also concerned about the fact that our teams are playing on turf when they play away, and yet they're learning and practicing on grass when they are home. So we are hoping people get out and vote for that referendum, and we just hope that we can improve those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Like all the items that we approve here at the board, this is just another good investment in the future of the students and the town of South River. So please give consideration to what Dr. Zurcher has requested. And we're going to move on now to any old or new business to come before the board. Or any other comments? Mr. Porton, do you have anything for us?
No, but I anticipate some of the things we've discussed in recent executive sessions. I anticipate having an update on all of those in November.
Good, thank you. And our payment of bills, Ms. Lowe.
Thank you. The Finance Committee recommends that all bills presented, having been certified by the School Business Administrator Board Secretary, be paid as listed, and I so move.
We have a motion by Ms. Lowe,
Second.
second by Mr. Nielsen. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, now at this time, we are going to open up the meeting once again for the reception of visitors. The public may address any concern or comment that they have for the board. Please state your name and address, and please keep your comments to a 10-minute time limit. This is on first call, second call, third call. Seeing none, this public portion is closed. We have no executive session, and the next item on the agenda is a motion for adjournment.
Nielsen.
By Mr. Nielsen,
Second?
second by Ms. Lell. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.